we're gonna talk. You want to name you want to name your starting five for this team. And before we start, let me ask you: is it any different? I went back to watch some of the games from 2020 earlier today.
Sure.
Does your front court starting lineup change from what we had in 2020, which is the obvious one of Stewie, Asia, Brittany Griner?
Yes, it does. There's
Interesting.
one small adjustment that I made.
Okay. And does our backcourt of, I mean, Sue Bird was our starting point guard. She's obviously not here anymore, but Diana was our starting two. Has your backcourt changed from our starting lineup, from our starting backcourt in 2020?
Yeah, Diana Taurasi is not in my starting lineup at all.
Interesting. All right, man. Let's get into it. You go ahead and reel yours off. Let me hear it.
So the front court specifically, the 4 and the 5 was very easy for me. It was Breonna Stewart and Asia Wilson. I did that instantly.
Okay. And why not Brittany Griner?
Because the way that I put this because of the way that I put this 5 together, Brittany Griner would fit better in the bench unit that's left over based on like just who I have on my list. My point guard is Chelsea Gray. That one was probably just as easy of like a slot in for me over the other guards that I have on there. And then the 2 and the 3 were kind of interesting because originally, I'll be honest, I wanted to overload this with Aces players and I wanted to put Jackie Young at the 2 and Kai at the 3. And because, you and I have talked a lot on the show about how those are the 2 best 2A players in the league. But then I was sitting here and I was thinking that, again, going in the grand scheme of like who's not on this and who would be left over on the bench, I think that Jackie Young, knowing that Diana Taurasi was not in my starting 5, I think I wouldn't be opposed to Jackie Young, Diana Taurasi, and Brittany Griner together on the bench unit. So that's why Jackie Young's not in my starting 5. I have Ka at my 2 and Nafisa Collier is my 3.
Ooh, okay.
So that's kind of how I was thinking. There's a lot of versatility. There's a lot of defense on this as well. The facilitating of Chelsea Gray, I feel like that one was kind of just a no-brainer, especially now that we've seen her play and she's starting to get into that mode. Like her with these 4 around her, I think would cause the most. You can put any group of 5 out there, honestly, just because of how great the roster is, as we were saying in that clip. But this 5 specifically, kind of like how the Warriors had like that death lineup when they had KD in 17-18, when they had like Curry and Clay and Draymond and KD, and that, like, this is kind of like if Team USA this year had a death lineup, this to me would be the death lineup: Chelsea Gray, Kalia Copper, Nafisa Collier, Breonna Stewart, and Asia Wilson. And I think on both sides of the ball, this 5 causes a lot of problems. But what do you?
I would counter that. I would have. So I started writing out some different lineups. I'm not really sure. I might think on the fly about what I think my death lineup will be. I do have like a small 5-out lineup written here, and that's where I go Stewie Asia for the front court. Though I want to start Diana and Brittany Griner because of size. I don't want Asia to have to get too banged up and physical inside to start the game. And I want Diana to get a rhythm, see if she can get hot and get in the flow since she's the oldest player out there. Let her start. And then we come off the bench with all of these great, the story of this team is going to be the guard play, I think. Like we always have our great forwards and we have great versatility with like, we have Stewie, Asia, and Nafisa. And we have Brittany Griner, who is just always going to be Brittany Griner. But our guard play, like we brought Jackie and Kalia and Sabrina and Kelsey Plum. So we have everything we need in the backcourt and the front court, literally. So I just think starting Diana for the first few minutes and then coming off the bench with whoever works for that matchup is going to be fine. I did put / Jewel Lloyd next to Diana because Jewel Lloyd may have earned that starting spot at the 2 as well. But I still think size, experience, Diana is, see if she can get on a heater to start the game. So I would want to start her at the 2. I do want to say so my starting 5 is Chelsea Gray at the 1, DT at the 2, and then I go Stewie, Asia, Brittany Griner. I just think the Stewie, Asia, Brittany Griner front court or something. You can't get away from. Like that's
There's no answer
bro.
for that.
Stewie, Asia, Brittany Griner. Just the sound, the sheer sound of that should make any country tremble. Like that is what do you do with that? What do you do with that front court? And I think Brittany Griner is still good enough and at that level where she could, she'll earn that starting spot. So that's where I'm going. Like size, experience, balance. And then we come off the bench. We come in with different looks, different lineups, shooting, maybe some small ball, maybe because we have so many capable guards, and then all of our forwards and bigs can shoot. So we can do whatever we want.
Let me ask you this question on the guards. I know you have a couple of different lineups that you put together. Is there a lineup you have where Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young are on the floor together? Did you?
Honestly, I mean, you have to do that. Like, you got to do the Aces 4 with Brittany or with Stewie or with Nafisa or with Alyssa Thomas. I'm wondering if Alyssa Thomas is gonna get any run. I hope so. Like,
I hope
so. And I want to say something about AT2 real quick, bro, because we did our top 10 players last week, and I mentioned when I started out how Alyssa Thomas was notably out of my top 10 from the first time we did our rankings. And I wanted to say something about it at the time because there is something to be said about, like, Alyssa Thomas IQ wise is still top tier. Like, she may be top 3 in the league when it comes to just sheer IQ. And I just think her lack of scoring and shooting obviously kind of takes away from how we view her as like a star, like elite top 10 level player. But she's got the Draymond thing going, and like when you look at, like, Draymond isn't considered a top 10 player either. But Alyssa Thomas has dominated though. She has shown to be a dominant player. She wins. She is one of the 2 best players on her team. She's one of the main reasons why, like, Connecticut is one of the best teams in the league. So when you watch them play, like, you see a dominant player. So I was watching her last week and I was just thinking, man, like, she may not be going for 20 and 30 and may have some crazy numbers, but whatever her numbers are, she's always doing it across the board, balanced. And her IQ is just the way she plays basketball, bro. She just has a crazy IQ. But on this team, I'm still wondering, like, how and if she'll need to be, like, if they have any room for her out there, like, for situations. I don't know. But yes, I do think they should you got to go to the Aces lineup at times. I mean, you have the balance already. Again, you plug in Brittany Griner or Nafisa or Stewie. You got to do that. But that's why I don't create that lineup, because I feel like that's something that should just happen already. Like, we should just know that already. The Aces line, there's 4 of them, so that should definitely come up. Where I think we should get creative, and where I think a true death lineup lies, is where all 5, like, not to say Chelsea Gray can't hit shots and can't shoot the ball, because we know she can, but when I think death lineup, not that all 5 need to be able to shoot the ball, but I definitely need my backcourt to be able to shoot. So I'm looking at, like, Kelsey Plum, Sabrina backcourts, throw in Diana at the 3 and then go Stewie and Asia. Like, that's looking like a deathy lineup to me. Sure. And again, we can mix up things with our guards. Like, we can go. I'll also say this quickly, and I'll kick it back to you. I think Kalia Copper is going to be our Anthony Edwards on the women's side. I think she'll be because I was going to ask you who you think our X factor will be. And Ant is living up to his quote that they keep showing every game, that he's not just an X factor. He's looking like our best player at times, which is crazy. But I do think Kalia Copper could have, I mean, it's her first time out. But I think, again, with all those different guards, who's going to be the spark and really find their way. I think her shooting and her athleticism is going to be tough. I don't think teams are going to know what hit them. I think she could be looking like how Anthony Edwards does on the men's side.
I think that's spot on. I would say that's a very accurate assessment. Looking at I mean, because thinking about how similar their games are just in general, right? Like both of them impact the game on both sides of the ball. Both of them have, I'll use a word that you used recently. They both have a little bit of pop to them. They both have the shiftiness and the quickness. They can get their own shot, right? They can work off the ball. They can work on the ball. I think that's fair. And I think that's why, and for me, that's why having Kalia Copper playing off of a Chelsea Gray in the starting lineup, to me, that's what makes that so interesting, is because you've got the, first of all, the pick and roll options in that starting lineup are just endless, whether it's Chelsea and Brianna, whether it's Chelsea and Asia, which we see on a night-to-night basis anyway, but throwing in that extra wrinkle of a Kalia Copper who can shoot, who can catch and shoot, who can hurt you in the mid-range, who can obviously drive to the basket and finish. There is a lot of versatility, and I would say Kalia Copper is a player that you can put her in. I mean, you can say that for most of these players, but especially for Kalia, just because of how versatile she is, you can put her on the floor with any other collection of four, and it wouldn't hinder how she plays at all. Like there wouldn't need to be any concession necessarily that she's making, right? You can put her on the floor with DT, obviously, because we see it on a night-to-night basis, but you can put her out there with any of the Aces guards. Her game doesn't change. You can put her at the three, and she can still play the same way that she's playing, right? Whether you have any combination of BG, Asia, and Brianna down low in the front court, right? So whether she's the 2 or the 3, she's still able to play her game, right? You could make a lot of Cheryl Reeve can make a lot of interesting lineups defensively with Kalia Copper because of her versatility, because of how she's able to guard just about every position on the floor, right? There's a lot of versatility there offensively as well. So I would say that makes perfect sense. I would say that if we are going to start drawing parallels between who we have on the women's side and who we have on the men's side, that Kalia Copper to Ant Edwards would be the perfect comparison. There's something about it being your first time when you just kind of get to go out there and just play balls to the wall, and it doesn't really matter. And it's especially helpful when your game is as fluid as Kalia Copper's is. Yeah.
And I think she's going to have the freedom to go in and be who she's shown that she is in the league now, which is a bona fide top tier wing scorer. Yeah. And I think she's going to be encouraged. They're going to give her the green light, and she's going to show the world who she is. I think she has the potential to do that. I would love to see any lineups. It came to me as you were talking. Yeah, slip Kalia in there with the Aces 4. You put Asia at the 5. You go Chelsea, Kelsey, Kalia. Chelsea, Kelsey, Kalia, Jackie, and Asia. Like what?
Yeah, why not?
Like what? Just throw Kalia in there. That's nasty. I do look forward to seeing some combinations with Kalia and Jackie Young together, because they are our two best two-way wing players. Like combinations with Jackie, Kalia, and Asia. I mean, we're talking about like who's scoring on us consistently and who's stopping us consistently, right? So no, there's a lot to work with there.
I mean, you talk about a lineup where you have you could have, Jackie at the 1, you could have Jewel at the 2, Kalia Copper at the 3, and then Nafisa or Brianna at the 4th, Age at the 5. Like that's one of those things where it's like you still have, because of the versatility of and that's I think what makes this roster so special, is you have 2 players who are essentially identical, who are versatile, who you can put just about anywhere on the floor, and it won't alter the chemistry of what you're trying to accomplish, right? If you want to score at a high clip and shoot efficiently, you can have either of them on the floor anytime. You'll get that done. If you want to lock down the other team or the other team's best player, you can put either or both of those players on the floor, and that can be accomplished. If you want to have the opposing team's backcourt in hell, you can do that. If you want to have the opposing team's wing players in hell, you can do that, whether it's one or both of them. I think that's what makes the roster so interesting. It's like there's so many different pieces that we get to see put together, and there's really, like, I don't know, unless you're just putting out a lineup up there where you just got a bunch of players who can't play defense. Like, I don't know if Cheryl Reeve could put out a bad lineup with this collection of talent, unless it's just a bunch of players out there who can't play defense. But even then, like, that's not, there's only a handful of them that we don't look at and say are, good defensive players. So it's like, you really don't have that issue. Defense is going to be a concern. The concern is going to be, what do you want your offense to look like at any given point in time? Where do you want to attack? I think that's what's going to determine what the lineups are looking like at any given point, is just what Cheryl Reeve wants to accomplish offensively at any given point in time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't help but look at the guards. I feel like this is going to be our most versatile team with our guard play, with Jewel Lloyd, with Kalia Copper, Jackie Young, and then you got Sabrina and Kelsey Plum just just hanging out, like ready to go off at any time. Yeah, and to your defensive point, like our our least capable defensive lineup would be like a Sabrina, Kelsey, Diana, probably Stewie, and and even I mean even that what
Even
we're
once you
saying
get to
is still
Stewie, it's like, let's do it.
even
So I
that it's
mean,
still like
yeah.
you got to guard that. That's I mean those are some of our best. That's
Yeah.
might be one of our best shooting lineups. Those are some of our best shooters there.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I just again, I think the Stewie, Asia, Brittany Griner thing is what makes us so formidable and dominant, and you can't stop us physically down low. Like our size advantage is gonna really hold so much weight with that front court still there. And then our versatility has expanded. Like it's crazy because Asia is even, I mean, she was really good 4 years ago, but she's not the same player. She's even better.
No. Yeah.
Same with Stewie. Kalia Copper is here. She wasn't here before. I mean, we have a few, players who were here. Nafisa was on the team in 2020. She's a new player now than she was 4 years ago. Like, yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, we're gonna really be kicking up on people. Like that's gonna. we have a lot to work with here. I can't get over the guard play.
Do you have a tall lineup? Did you put a tall lineup together?
I didn't like go all in. I like to really play around. But if I'm looking at it now, if I'm playing around with a big lineup, I think I would go. I'm going Alyssa Thomas at the 1, Diana Taurasi at the 2, Stewie at the 3, Asia at the 4, Brittany at the 5.
That's nuts that we can just do that like that, bro.
A big lineup. You heard me earlier. I was thinking here, like, how are we going to use Alyssa Thomas? Maybe we throw her at point sometimes. We got enough.
Yeah.
We got enough combo guards that can play off the ball between Sabrina, Kelsey, Jackie. She's one of our best passers. We know that. Why not go big guard for some lineups? That could be interesting.
That obviously not the only way, but I feel like that would be the best way that she gets frequent playing time is if she's at the 1 because it works. She has the capabilities to do so, right? She has the passing ability, the IQ, the facilitating ability, the playmaking ability to be able to be the one with, again, any collection of other 4 players you want to put out on the floor with her to make it happen. So yeah, that would probably be, I wouldn't be surprised if we see her more, as the point guard, as the on-ball guard than we do at the 4, just because you have
Chelsea Gray is the only true point that we have. I mean, Sabrina plays the point and can play the point. But Chelsea Gray is the only true point that we have.
That's true. And I think because of that, I'd be interested to see if Sabrina plays off the ball a bit more because of that. Like, because you have someone in Alyssa Thomas who can bring the ball over the floor and facilitate, and because you have obviously Chelsea Gray, who's the true point guard, like there might even be some value going back to the point you made earlier about just from a shooting standpoint of just having Sabrina available, not on the ball, to be able to flow through the offense off the ball, get to her spots and hit open shots, whether it's from range or whatever. I think even that is interesting to me to see, like, how frequently will we see, I'm not saying we won't see it all, but like how frequently will we see Sabrina playing on the ball, considering that you have someone in Alyssa Thomas who you could have her be on the ball and you can still have Sabrina give her that a little bit more free range. And I think that might cause a little bit more, even more problems from a scoring standpoint, from a stretching the floor and a defensive standpoint for other teams if Sabrina's not on the ball and just out there moving off of screens, kind of like what we see Steph do in Golden State, just moving off of screens and getting the spots and knocking them down. I think I think that might be a great way to use Sabrina, because she has we see her do it in New York all the time. Like, she has the ability to do that and do it at a very reliably and very efficiently. But this collection of talent is just nuts, bro. I'll tell you that much. I don't know.
No, it's crazy. And I mean, and Sabrina's showing she's playing the point position really well right now on the ball. So, I mean, she's proven that you can put the ball in her hands, run action through her, pick and roll. She's looking tougher, quicker. We've been talking about her. So, she's suited to be kind of like that next up point guard, and I would consider her more for that role than like a Kelsey Plum or I mean, listen, a big lineup you could throw Jackie Young at point. Becky Hammond does it. I mean, you know, a big lineup could have Jackie Young at point, maybe go Stewie at the 2, Nafisa at the 3, Asia at the 4, Brittany at the 5. You know, that's a big lineup. The Jackie Young, is she gonna be strong arming girls over there in Paris for sure?
Absolutely. There's one person that can play some bully ball. It's definitely definitely Jackie Young. That's for sure. What about Jewel Lloyd? I mean, where do you see Jewel fitting into? I mean, not necessarily fitting in, because again, I think everyone fits just fine. But like, how do you see Jewel being utilized with what we have around her?
Honestly, I feel like Jewel is gonna be kind of like our do-it-all combo guard. I don't even think I mean, everyone can score, including her, of course, and she'll score in moments. We'll want her and need her to score, but I don't know. I feel like she's gonna, and I think she's so unselfish and willing to like get other people going and do what's needed. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of see her in that like Kobe role in a way. So I do think she'll have some big moments. I think she'll definitely show out. But yeah, I just think I don't know. I mean, she could emerge as our best player. Like it is going to be interesting. I mean, well, Asia, we're going to be going through Asia. She's going to be, but I when I think of the guards, when I think of like who will be like that standout guard, because I've already said it looks like I've already put my money on Kalia kind of having a breakout kind of performance and run. But and yeah, again, I think it's just even in that setting, like we haven't even mentioned it yet, but like the setting of Olympic basketball, that's part of why I'm starting Brittany Griner at the 5, because just the physicality. They may not have the size that we have, but it's just we want to impose, I think, our size advantage on them. So yeah, but I think Jewel Lloyd's gonna do what she's gonna be out there roaming around, picking spots, making things happen as a playmaker or a scorer.
You said earlier that Kaz our aunt. Would Jewel Lloyd be like, I mean, I don't know, is she the Devin Booker on this side? Where does that thinking about who's over there on the men's side, I feel like that would be the one, right?
I think that would be the most fair, because they're you have a few like Jewel Lloyd and Diana Taurasi are the 2 shooting guards, like pure shooting guards. Kalia Copper, you could probably say she's there at this point now, where she's just playing the pure 2 in Phoenix. So yeah, you could say that, because D Book and Ant are our 2 shooting guards on the men's side. So yeah, I think that would be fair. I do think Jewel Lloyd is gonna, like, I think between her and DT, like there are 2 little more experienced, shooting guards. So I do think the 2 of them should be splitting minutes and splitting time. I just think someone like Kalia Copper could come in and start snapping, and then you just kind of got to let her go and fill your spots. Get in where you fit in. But yeah, I think Jewel Lloyd will definitely be a primary factor at the 2 for us.